How are y'all doing? I'm glad to see you both.
Pretty good, pretty good. Just tired. Trying to get used to a normal sleep schedule.
Yeah, that's what you said. You're trying not to sleep in so late, right?
Yeah, because I've only been doing that because I just been lazy between having a concussion and the whole coronavirus thing. Haven't really had the chance to go outside, so I kind of just slept all the way up until like maybe even 4 o'clock some days, which isn't really
Yeah.
good. So I'm trying to wake up on normal times. I woke up at 10 today. That's actually a really good start.
Hmm. And are you trying to like go to bed on time too? Because that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like the
that's a big
first.
part of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
some days I would go to bed at like say like 11 o'clock, but I would still sleep into like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the body does weird things when it's healing too.
Yeah, I just get so lazy. I just didn't even care. I wouldn't even eat some days because I would just sleep the whole day.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's hard. There's a lot of uncertain things happening in the world, and I mean I have a friend who previously suffered from insomnia. Like she isn't able to sleep, and she had it figured out, and now that like stress is coming up from being on lockdown and the virus, and she's kind of back in that. Um, that's happening to her again. So it's not no, you're not alone. Nobody is alone if you're having like trouble dealing with what's going on. That's for sure.
I'm not at that point, but I pray for people like that because that's terrible. I couldn't live with myself if I actually had insomnia.
Mm.
Because I can normally like make myself go to sleep easily. Like if I just tell myself just relax, go to bed, I usually can do that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's me not wanting to sometimes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
part of it because I'm so bored. I mean, like I sleep all day and then I just stay up all night or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah. Elena, how about you? Have you gotten a couple hours of sleep recently?
Um,
You doing okay?
I guess I couldn't sleep last night, so I went to sleep at like 6:30, like, and then I just woke up.
Hmm.
So I guess that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I guess that's good enough.
Yeah, it'll take you. Yeah, it's gonna probably be hard for your body to adjust.
Mhm.
I'm sorry you're dealing with that. You get something to eat and drink when you woke up?
No, I just woke up.
No. Okay, why don't you go get some water? I'm serious. The little things, it's good for you.
Okay.
And we'll wait for you to get back. And then we'll get going. I'm surprised Casey's not here because she literally responded to my message with a heart. But we'll see. So, but we'll get started otherwise. Just kind of chatting. Or did she? Okay, she's got water. Great. Love to see it. Hydration is key. Okay. So, do you all, let's just do, a quick check-in. I know we all just kind of already chatted, but just take a second to think of 3 words to describe you right now. And when you're ready, you can go for it. I should have thought of my words to begin with. Let's see. I would say that my words right now are chill, I guess, and working, and on the positive side. That's how I'm feeling. Y'all want to share? Anthony, what's so funny?
Elena, I want you to go first, please.
Okay. Tired, lazy, and happy.
Nice.
All right. All right. I guess I really can't think of anything right now because I stay the same. Like I don't know. I'm just gonna go with bored is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't know how to explain this. I'm having like a bipolar moods. I'm not bipolar, but I'm having like a different kind of moods right now. I don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of depressed because I can't really get outside.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. Hey, Casey.
Hi.
We're just checking in. We'll invite you in a second. We're doing 3 words to describe how you're feeling right now. But Anthony, I wanted to go back and if you want, so you all know, right? I think you all, well, it's been a minute for some of you, so I'll just re-explain, right? That, the first half of this session is recorded and we put it on YouTube so that other people can see it and watch it later if they're busy right now. And then the second half, right, is more of our, we call it office hours, but that's more like if you have something personal that you want to share, but you don't want it to be on YouTube, which we understand, you can talk about that later. So I'm feeling like let's do our lesson. And then when we stop recording, we can come back because these are some really good topics that I want to talk about with you all. And like, I want to talk about your personal answers, but the lesson today is also about self-care plans and thinking about the ways that we can take care of ourselves when we're feeling weird, down, different, having different moods all the time, and how trying to make some consistent decisions and consistent habits can help to kind of equalize that and try to, as best we can, make ourselves feel normal, right? And at least somewhat functioning and decent, right? So if that's okay, we will come back to like the deeper dive into how we're personally feeling later, okay? So Casey, your turn. Can you think of 3 words or share 3 words that describe how you're feeling right now?
I don't know. I'm just happy. I don't know.
Classic.
Yeah.
You got nothing else?
No.
All right. Classic Casey. All right, so I'm glad you're still doing well. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to play a Kahoot game to get started. So I don't know. Actually, I didn't think about how it's going to work.
I don't think it is.
That's not going to work. Well, because you'd have to be on your phone on Kahoot. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to play the Kahoot game, but y'all are going to just vote on which answer you think it should be. Does that make sense? So we're basically just going to play as a team.
Should we just like type it in the chat?
I can hear you. So we'll kind of discuss. And it's only 10 questions. So hopefully if it works, cool. And if not, we'll just scrap it. It's only 10 questions. So let me share my screen.
You know it's Casey's birthday?
No, I forgot that your birthday was on tax day, Casey. You could have said that as one of your 3 words. 3 words. It's my birthday. Happy birthday. Are you doing anything to celebrate?
But my birthday doesn't describe me.
You're right. So are you doing anything to celebrate?
No, I want to go bungee jumping, but I can't.
Well, sure. I'm also not sure that you can. Are you you're 16 now?
Yep.
Okay, I guess maybe you could with parent permission. Do you want us to sing to you?
No, of course not.
I'm joking. I think that would be really awkward, and I would probably end up being the only person singing, and that's not what I want. So, for virtual classrooms, play a live game together with learners over video. What? All right. Oh, the noise. So y'all can hear this, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait.
Or
Yeah.
you can see it anyway. All right, give me 1 second. Here's what's going to be hard. I'm not going to be able to. Ooh. Okay. Can y'all see this?
Mhm. Yep.
All right. Why can't I find my Kahoot app? Okay, I found it. Sorry, give me 1 second. 5, 7, 1, 6, 7. What should our team name be?
Career Works.
Captain Hook.
Did you say Captain Hook?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
Oh my
combine
God.
those. Oh,
Career. No, bro.
what's happening? Okay. All right, here we go.
Nah, bro. Captain Career.
All right, y'all. What does overall wellness include? So I don't want the music, but that's fine. Which one do you all think it
Can't
is?
read.
Red, yellow, blue, or green?
Red.
Blue.
Yeah. Red.
Is that 2 votes for red?
Mhm.
All right,
Go
we're
with
gonna go with red. Oh, I am trying to do it on my
Wait, what?
screen. I was trying to do it on my computer and not on my cell phone. I'm gonna get it together. I promise. We would have gotten it right though. Okay, next.
It's green. Oh, yeah.
No, we were correct, but I didn't hit it on my phone. I tried to click it on my computer. It's fine. How many hours of sleep should you have per day? So look at all the options and then tell me which color you think it should be.
Blue.
Yellow.
Blue.
2 votes for blue, 1 vote for yellow. I feel like,
Red.
are we sure? All right, sorry, Anthony, we're going with blue. But yellow was correct. I was like torn. I was like, should I join in?
Wow.
So yes, you should have between
Isn't
7
it
and 9
6
hours
to
of
8
sleep every
hours?
day. What's that?
Isn't it
What was
6
your
to
question,
8?
Casey?
What happened?
Did you have a question, Casey?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah. So you know, typically people say 8 hours of sleep, and 8 is between 7 and 9. So that is why. All right. We still have no points. What is a suggested amount of physical activity you should have each day? Do we think it's 15 minutes, 1 hour, an hour and a half, or 30 minutes?
I think 30. I don't know.
15 minutes.
30 minutes.
All right, we're going with green. Boom, we got one right finally. Yeah, you should have at least 30 minutes of activity a day, and that's even if you just like go on a walk, or if you you can combine that time and sort of do like some people do 3 days per week for an hour. So that's points finally. Okay, number 4. Physical activity decreases and blank increases. Wait, physical activity decreases blank and increases blank. Red or blue?
I don't
Red.
Red. He might be right. I don't know about this stuff.
Red.
All right. So cortisol is the hormone, I believe it is a hormone, that is released when you are stressed. And endorphins are released when you exercise. And so physical activity actually decreases stress. So that is why cortisol decreases, and it increases endorphins. So it like decreases the stuff that makes you feel bad and increases the stuff that makes you feel good.
Yeah, you sound just like my trainer. Like I know what you mean, but I don't.
What? Okay. Basically, exercise makes you feel less stressed and more happy.
The words are just like
really?
Chinese to me. Like I just don't get endorphins.
Yeah, those are like really technical terms, but you just need to know it makes you less stressed and more happy. All of these are true, except, so which one is not true?
Yellow. Yeah, yellow.
Yeah, yellow.
Nice work, team. So
I can
you
barely
should.
read that because my phone's so cracked.
Oh, that's so basically. Let's go over the true answers. You should drink plenty of water every day. You should not skip meals, and you shouldn't drink too much caffeine. Nice.
I'm a caffeine addict.
If you correctly manage your feelings, you will.
All of the above.
I can't even read.
You said green.
Mm-hmm.
4 seconds.
All of the above. Yeah.
Yes. Positive self-esteem.
Sorry, my
Oh, it's all right. Healthy relationships and coping with stress. All right, I think we got a few more questions. Which of these is important in regards to social self-care? So social interaction. So which one would help you to have good social interaction?
blue.
You said blue?
Yeah, blue.
Awesome.
That's the only one that makes.
Yeah, the other ones didn't really make sense. Okay. What percentage of nursing students experience stress? We're going to have to guess on this one.
33.
Casey thinks blue.
I think 47 now.
You think yellow. Elena, you said green?
Mm-hmm.
We'll go with yellow since it's in between the two.
Oh my gosh.
33%. I was expecting that to be higher as well.
Got it.
All right, 2 questions left.
My audio wasn't working again.
Psychological self-care. So which one is not about psychological self-care?
Practicing asking and receiving help. No. I don't
yellow.
know.
I think yellow.
I'm gonna go.
Awesome. It's kind of, they're all long answers and it's a short question, but basically like what, psychological self-care is like mental health, right? So self-reflection and self-awareness is good for mental health. Sensory engagement, so that kind of means like listening is one form of sensory engagement, and hugging people is good for sensory engagement. Asking and receiving help is definitely good for mental health, but worrying and negative thoughts is not good for your mental health. Last question. The stress of nursing school may seem overwhelming. I guess this quiz was made for nursing school students. We're going to skip
My
that one.
sister's a nursing school student.
I'm guessing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this for nursing?
It would appear so. So, all right.
That's fun.
That was just to kind of get us warmed up thinking about self-care. Can I ask you all to mute your microphones? I'm just getting a little bit of feedback. That sounds better. Sweet. Okay, cool. So when you want to talk, turn it on, but when you're not talking, turn it off. So that was a little bit about self-care. So were any of you here when when Miss Janelle did sort of an intro to self-care? And if you were, what do you remember that she said about self-care? Casey, I think you were there. Do you remember anything?
I don't know.
What did you say, Casey? Did you say you don't remember anything? Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, that's okay. So briefly, like thinking about the Kahoot test that we just took, what do you all think are some things that are involved in self-care? Like what were the questions asking about?
Like you have to be social, like don't keep yourself Like the week.
Yep. Social is definitely one of them. What else?
Drink water.
Drink water. So it was talking about both hydration and also nutrition. So like what you're drinking and what you're eating. Because remember, it also talked about don't drink too much caffeine. And that is because one, caffeine actually dehydrates you some. So for every like cup of coffee you drink, you should also drink a cup of water at least. And also because caffeine interrupts your sleep, right? So if you drink coffee to like literally, like if you drink coffee, potentially, everybody's different, but kind of a general rule of thumb is that you should try to stop drinking coffee at least 6 hours before you plan to go to sleep. Because caffeine has a half-life. And so I think it's something like 5 or 6 hours. After 5 or 6 hours, there's still half of that caffeine in your bloodstream. And so it might affect your sleep quality. Oh, that was one of the questions, right? It asked about sleep. What else? Was there anything else that you remember it asking about? It asked about nursing. Okay, cool. So basically, I feel like the Kahoot talked a lot about like physical self-care. Oh, it asked about exercise. And as we already listed, it talked about being social. It talked about mental health, talked about nutrition, hydration, exercise, sleep, all of these things. And so when we talk about self-care, sometimes we, like our culture, our society, self-care is like portrayed as like, oh, get your nails done and like, get a manicure, do your facial, get your hair done. It sometimes comes across as like these really like feminine, like do something nice for your hygiene type things, which can be self-care, but that's not all self-care is, right? Really, self-care is like, what do you need in order to be the best functioning human being that you can in any given situation, right? So, for instance, sleep as a part of self-care, you should generally try to sleep 7 to 9 hours every night, right? But I was sharing earlier that I have a friend who has insomnia, right? And so for her, self-care, it doesn't mean like, oh, she can't sleep, so like she's not doing her self-care, because it's kind of out of her control, right? So for her, self-care might look like calling off sick one morning for work if she has that option. Or, she said that she turns her phone on noise so that when she does fall asleep randomly throughout the day, because she's so tired, she still gets her email notifications and she can still work. And she tries to make sure that she's drinking enough water and eating really well, right, to take care of her body in other ways. So self-care, like I said, is literally anything that you do to take care of yourself in the most simple form. Sometimes, literally, when I am feeling down, I will commend myself for like brushing and flossing my teeth, or even just brushing my teeth, because it's something so simple and so basic and something that we take for granted, but it is a really good way to take care of yourself in the long term, right? If I don't brush my teeth, I'm going to have cavities and my teeth are going to fall out, and then I won't be able to eat. And then how am I supposed to care for myself? I can't eat, right? So it can be just normal things, right? But it can also be things like treating yourself, like doing something nice for yourself, like taking yourself out to dinner, or splurging, like doing something exciting with your friends that you spend a little extra money on. It can be any of those things. So what we're going to do with a little bit of the time that it doesn't matter if the lesson goes long. We're going to start thinking about not just talking about ways that we can practice self-care, but we're going to actually write down a plan for how we are going to do self-care. So what I'm going to show you all right now is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you a template that I made it's on Excel spreadsheets. Oh, can anybody else? Anthony says he's having some trouble hearing me. Is anybody else having trouble hearing me?
I can hear you.
Casey, can you hear me? Okay. Anthony, I wonder if something's going on with your phone since you had some trouble at the beginning too. Feel free to reboot again and join us in a minute, or just watch and follow along, and hopefully you'll figure out what the template is. So the template, like if you guys want to make a spreadsheet, that's cool. I love spreadsheets. If you don't want to make a spreadsheet, it's easy to make it on paper as well. So we'll do that in a second, but sharing my screen right now. So this is the self-care template. And so what it does is along the side here, you can see it says physical, mental, emotional, social, educational, going like through all aspects of ways you can take care of yourself: spiritual, environmental, financial, finding joy, and taking rest. So there are a lot of different areas that we can discuss about ways we can take care of ourselves. And I'm going to kind of describe what each of these means. I'm going to give you some ideas for things that you can put into your own plan. And then we're going to take a few minutes if you want to do it on the spreadsheet, or if I recommend paper, if you have that. So we'll make our own plans. Okay. So stick with me for a few minutes and you will learn about each of these things. So we've kind of talked about them all already too, right? But I'm going to show you some ideas so that also you can help to get an idea of what they are. So physical, we've already kind of talked about, right? Physical self-care in terms of physical stuff is anything that has to do with your body. So sleeping, well, I guess sleep could also fall into mental because that helps your brain, but they all overlap in many different ways. So physical self-care can include sleep, hygiene, like I talked about with brushing your teeth, exercising, nutrition, and I'm going to add hydration. So when we are making our self-care plans, we might want to make some specific goals. So I'm going to make an example column here. So can you all think of some specific goals that you might want to make about any of these physical forms of self-care? Just take a stab at it. So like, basically you want to be specific, right? So if we are writing goals for our physical self-care, how much sleep might we say we want to get? Can someone take a try? 8 hours. So, and it's not a quiz, like, yeah. So I want to do bullet points, and I'm not finding them, but that's okay. So, is somebody trying to join? Bree's joining. One sec. Hey, Bree.
Hi, I just got home.
How are you?
Good.
Good, I'm glad. 6 people here, what? Okay. So Bree, just to catch you up, we are talking about ways that we can practice self-care and how we can make a self-care plan. So our first example is getting 8 hours of sleep every night. Now, like I said, this is an example, and I'm not trying to make it about right or wrong, right? Like we took this Kahoot quiz and it said that the right answer is between 7 and 9 hours. But maybe for you, you're only sleeping 6 hours every night on average. So maybe you set your goal to get 7 hours of sleep just to get, 1 extra hour. Or you could say, similarly, instead of saying how many hours of sleep you're going to get, you could say go to bed by 11 p.m. on weeknights. Okay, so it can be specific and it can be in a couple different ways. What about, can someone think of a example of another physical self-care goal that we might make? So it could be about hygiene, exercise, nutrition, or hydration.
Drinking less energy drinks and stuff like that.
That's good. Was there anybody else?
You can go for walks.
Yeah, that's great. But again, we want to be specific, right? So, Anthony, I'm going to ask you how many, if you're setting a goal. So again, maybe this is an example, right? Maybe you drink 5 energy drinks every day. Okay. It's going to be hard for you to stop drinking energy drinks completely. So when you say drink less energy drinks, that's pretty good, but maybe we should include a number. So we can say only 2 per day, just as an example, right? Just so that we think about how we can be more.
Here's the thing.
What's up?
They have like energy drinks with like super high caffeine, and that's what I drink, like the 300 milligram caffeine ones. And you're supposed to have like a limit, I guess, of caffeine per day of like 450, I think. I don't remember what it exactly is, but I'll drink like 2 bangs a day, and that's 300 milligrams of caffeine. And then like I won't drink anything else. So I probably shouldn't drink anything at all. So it's really hard to wean myself off of those ones because I won't drink anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, so if you're drinking 2 every day, maybe you say only 1 per day, and you could also say and drink 8 glasses of water. So we can go really in depth with some of these. We're going to go through and do sort of read the description of each one and then give an example. And our goal for today is that you all will make your plan and you'll make 1 goal per self-care area. And then we can come back to this in future weeks to make it even more in depth. And I just say that because we only have 25 more minutes. So I don't want to get too in depth about something that we don't have time to talk about fully, if that makes sense. But just to finish this one, when we say going for walks, again, you want to make it measurable, right? So if you just say go for walks, you might not, if you go for a walk on Monday, but you don't go for a walk on Tuesday, then you start to feel like, oh, like I did it one day, but not the other day. And I'm not like sure if I was successful, right? But if you say go for walk 20 minutes every day, then you can say, okay, well, yesterday I only walked 10 minutes, but at least I walked 10 minutes instead of no minutes, right? Or, today I walked 30 minutes and that kind of helps me to make up for it from yesterday. So at least that way you can really measure if you were successful or not. Okay? Cool. Great examples. So moving on to mental. So things that can help your mental health, as we already discussed in the Kahoot. Some of the examples that they gave in the Kahoot were asking for help. We can also talk about how journaling is good for your mental health, limiting social media. So not being on Instagram all day, every day, especially if, right? And these things are very individual. So if it doesn't speak to you, if you don't feel like this is you and you don't have an issue with social media, then don't worry about it. But some people spend a lot of time on social media, and I'll just speak for me, right? When I'm on social media and I see pictures of somebody on the beach, I get really jealous and I'm like, oh, like what's going on? What's wrong with my life that I can't take myself on a vacation, for instance, right? So if that is something that makes me start to feel bad about myself, then I should consider limiting my time on social media. This one is an example that I have used personally. I have a really bad habit of being on my phone all the time, right? So I just made a rule that said I can't take my phone into the bathroom, right? It's 5 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever. So that's just one way that I limit my phone time. And even reading can be good for your mental health. So can we think of one example of something that we could do for our mental health for self-care? One goal that we can make.
Don't stress out about little things.
Sure, that's good.
Have like family time, hang out with your family, like do a check-in like how we do here.
Yeah, that's great. So again, right, thinking about how different types of self-care kind of overlap with each other. So Elena, what you said is kind of also goes with social self-care, and that's fine because social self-care can also help your mental health. If you feel lonely, right, it's good to make intentional time to hang out with your family. So maybe you say hang out with family or friends 3 days per week. Again, we want to make it measurable, right? Cool. Good example. So moving on to emotional. So things that are good for your emotional health, again, or your self-care, also connected to mental health. So expressing your feelings. So I would say that asking for help also falls under this. Thinking about how you will handle conflict and handle stress. So for instance, I'm just going to go ahead and give an example. I get really stressed out. And so one thing that I do is I meditate every day for 5 minutes. And this helps me to control my stress. And that just makes me more happy, right? And better able to deal with stuff. So I would consider that both emotional and it's going to fall into another category later as well. Social is next. So one idea is not giving into peer pressure or spending time with family, friends, as we've already discussed. So we're going to put that one in here. Time with family or friends. Basically spending time with people that make you happy, right? 3 days per week. Or if you need to do it every day, right? An hour every day. Or calling people right now, right? That we want to think about ways that we can fit this into the way our world is right now. Call one friend every day, as an example. Okay, so this one you guys might not agree with me on, but to think about your professional and educational goals, I think can also, depending on your personality, be a form of self-care. And it can both be, how it can be about a goal that you want to accomplish, like I want to get all A's, but it could also be about like, hey, I know that I stress myself out a lot about homework or work, so I'm going to limit that, right? So like for me right now, I'm only working 8 hours every day. Because sometimes, honestly, I work more than that because I feel like I didn't get enough done, and that's not really good for my self-care. Spiritual or mindful. Can you guys think of an example that might fit into spiritual or mindful? So my examples are meditation, walking can be mindful, yoga, if you're religious, going to church or praying. And if you're not religious, maybe even like listening to music. So does anybody have an example that they want to share?
I didn't even know that was a thing until you said something.
What, like spiritual self-care?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, these are categories that I personally think about. And so, like I said, they might not relate to everyone. Maybe, you're like, I love listening to music, but I don't want to talk about mindfulness, Miss Emily. That's fine. You don't have to include this on your personal self-care plan. But I do think that it is good for us to think about, like if you've ever been really upset, if you're angry or frustrated or sad or anything, right? If you use music to help you feel better sometimes, I would argue that that is a mindful activity. So I'm going to write that down. Listening to music as to make me feel better. Like I said, remember, think about brushing your teeth. These can be simple examples. They don't have to be complicated. But I do just want to also show you guys all the different ways that you can be taking care of yourself, because I think that once you recognize how you're taking care of yourself, you might feel a bit better about like, oh, like I'm not doing that bad, like I do wake up every day and get out of bed and make my bed and brush my teeth. And sometimes that's good enough. And that means that I've done something good today, So I'm actually going to say that we're not going to go through these last 4 because we only have 15 minutes left. And I want you all to have some time to make your own plans. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to just in the chat box write down these self-care types of self-care. Physical, mental, emotional, social, educational, and what else did we talk about? Spiritual. And that's plenty to go off of for today. So if you want, you can either use the template, but that would require you to use a phone or computer, but I'll just send it in the chat box in case you want to have it for later. Or if you look at my, hopefully, I'm not sure if you can see this. Can you all see this chart that I made on my notebook? It's basically the same thing that we just talked about, right? I just made it on paper. So at the top it says, oh, that's upside down. At the top it says current habits and goals. So we're just going to talk about goals for today. And then down the side it says physical, mental, emotional. So I want you all, if you look at the chat box, to pick at least 3 areas, if it's physical, mental, social, whatever, and make a goal for each one of those for your self-care. A goal that you are going to do maybe in the next week. You're going to try to accomplish this goal for your self-care. I'm going to stop the recording because I think that that's enough for the lesson. But why don't we take 3 minutes? So at 2:49 or 2:50, I want you all to, if you're willing, share one example of self-care that you've come up with. Okay?